Dude. Feels like a vampire bit me. Okay.
The Austin chapter
There we
of
go.
the Vampire Society, but they've both identified as vampires for half of their lives.
The majority of vampires commonly awaken during puberty.
Awaken during puberty, also known as the times whenever people were trying to discover themselves. You know, during puberty, you try to be quirky and cool and stuff to get people to like you, right? I, for one, in the middle of puberty, dyed my hair blonde because of the show Austin and Ally. And I was like, that's dope. That guy's super cool. It's gotta be the hair. You know? And I bleached my hair blonde because of Austin. It's not still blonde. You know? Because I realize now that that was stupid. You see where I'm going with this? It's
15 years old. Being a vampire isn't something that you can just choose. It is something you are born with. It is something that's part of you.
Born with? Then why does it occur whenever you're hitting puberty?
They sleep.
And you're born with it. Does that require you to wear the green contact lenses?
Choose.
And the fake teeth? Is that what it is?
I
Direct sunlight. The windows are open. I mean, that's not direct sunlight, but it looks like a bright day.
Immediate connection with her.
Logan started hosting these events at his nightclub, and I started assisting with them. He spent the next 2 years asking me out. We went on a date. We were sitting at the table, and he reached out and he touched my hand, and it was like this electricity. I remember going to the bathroom and calling my...
Now, I don't want to say this dude got his story from Twilight, but I will say he looks like he modeled his look a lot after Edward Cullen. I'm not saying they're making it all up, but I will say that it's very convenient.
And he reached out and he touched my hand, and it was like this electricity. I remember going to the bathroom and calling my best friend and being like, I'm going home with this guy. Like, that's what's gonna happen tonight. I'm going home with this guy.
Daily, I refer to as my soulmate. I love everything about her.
The stakes are higher than usual.
I refer to as my soulmate.
Daily, I refer to as my soulmate. I love everything about her.
My name is Daily South. I'm along with my husband, Logan, the vampire king and queen of Austin.
Daly and Logan live their lives day to day, or rather night to night, as vampires.
I feel like he's just modeling his look after any vampire in any movie.
Logan live their lives day to day, or rather night to...
What was this? God, there's this old movie. Or not old, it was like early 2000s. It was a vampire movie. He modeled his look after Lestat. Or Lestat, whatever his name is. I forgot his name. I'm not saying he's making it up. But like, again, I'm not saying I don't believe him. I'm not saying that he's making it up. I am saying that this dude has a lot of similarities to a lot of movie vampires. There's Edward Cullen. That's pretty freaking close.
Rather night to night as vampires. They've ruled for 6 years now, running the Austin chapter of the Vampire Society. But they've...
Now, Queen of the Damned is about a vampire that comes back. I don't know if he comes back to life. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But he, like, wakes up in the current timeline, right? And he joins a band. And he's like a singer. He's got long hair. Super pale. Dresses all, like, old-timey and stuff. A little bit.
Identified as vampires for half of their lives.
The majority of vampires commonly awaken during puberty.
I had my vampiric awakening when I was 15 years old.
15.
Being a vampire isn't something...
Well, whenever I was 15, I had my political awakening, I guess. I believed I was, like, Steven Crowder. At 15, I was, like, super Republican. conservative guy. You could debate with me about anything, right? But I was also 15 and not very smart. So now I look back at that and I'm like, that's hella cringe. And I'm not even close to being that anymore. Okay, there's a reason that you should not be allowed to make any major life choices until you're like 18 or at least 16 or 17. It's because you're out of puberty or on the outs of puberty, right? So that's all I'm gonna say.
Just choose. It is something you are born with. It is something that is a part of.
But if you're born with it, then why are you wearing the contact lenses and the fake teeth? Shouldn't you have been born with those too, or did those pop out too and your parents didn't give it to you until you hit 15? You were like, hey, mom and dad, I think I'm a vampire. They were like, no, we already know. Here you go. Here's your green contact lenses and your fake teeth.
They sleep during the day to avoid the sun.
Whenever I am in the
So
sun
did he
for
sleep? Did they sleep during the day throughout childhood too? Or was that just something that happened whenever they realized they were a vampire too? Because I remember I had like a little werewolf phase at like 9 years old or something. And, but it was like a werewolf mixed with a vampire. My parents would get like an Amazon package, right? And it would be big enough for me to be able to lay in it, right? And I would act like I was dead. I would lay down like I was in a coffin, right? But I was also 9. And I would like play along with it. I'd be like, yeah, this feels so comfortable to me. Like, I always wondered why my bed never felt right to me, right? But it was all for show. It was actually very uncomfortable because I'm laying on the floor in a cardboard box acting like a vampire.
periods of time. First, I get a pretty bad headache, along with nausea, shaky, kind of tremors.
There's this thing called the placebo effect, right? Where if you think that that's what's happening, then your body will actually make you feel that. It happens with my grandmother, right? You can just mention a disease and she's got it. The same way that this lady says that she gets a headache and nausea whenever she stays out in the sun because she's a vampire. There's also this thing that says, like, really good liars, or at least people who lie a lot, eventually, if you just keep telling that same lie over and over and over again, you'll forget what the truth was, and you'll actually believe that that was actually what happened. Saying that, meaning, like, if I sit here and I tell people that I was born with green eyes, and they just turned a different color or something, or I tell people that I was born with brown eyes, but then they turn green, or whatever it is, if I just keep saying that, eventually I'll end up actually believing it, to the point where if I go to take a lie detector test for it, I would pass it, because at that point I would forget that that was a lie. I feel like that's what's happening here. Maybe.
I'm in the sun for long periods of time. First, I get a pretty bad headache, along with nausea, shaky, kind of tremors.
Making up all this stuff as I go along.
Vampires like Logan and Daly have one major need, and it's disturbingly simple.
A vampire is someone that, for one reason or another, needs to take in human energy in the form of blood or psychic energy or sexual energy to keep themselves healthy.
These two have a craving that can only be quenched one way.
I drink human blood from a donor once a month. I do it because I have to. The first time I ever drank blood, it was actually a really intense experience for me, because I remember sitting in my English class and I started to feel this intense thirst that I'd never felt before. And I ran to the first water fountain I could find, and I just started gulping down my water. I didn't feel any less thirsty. And at that point, I happened to run into one of my friends in the hallway that had been helping me through my awakening, and they said, "Oh, this is what you're experiencing, let's go find your donor." So we found my friend, and they pulled out a lancet, and I drank from them, and it was immediately gone.
First time I ever consumed blood,
This dude totally got his look from Twilight.
it was empowering, heightened all of my senses and sensations.
It, heightened all of my senses. He said, I love everything about her. He's just putting on the voice to make it seem even more ridiculous. He's gotta be, right? They don't actually believe this. I hope they don't.
Heightened all of my
Heighten all
senses and
sensations.
Rush.
Logan and Daly don't just
Look at his face.
need blood in the bedroom. They
Oh.
need new blood in the form of another woman.
I don't like the way blood tastes. I find it inconvenient to have to do regularly.
That is kind of inconvenient that you're a vampire and you don't like the taste of blood. It's almost like you're human.
I'm someone that needs it, but
She needs help and she needs help. Everybody in this video needs help. Good God. Are you joking, dude? Jeez, how are they not sick? I mean, they are sick, but not physically yet. Or maybe they are, and that's why they get nauseous and stuff whenever they get vitamin D from the sun. Does she think she's an elf too, with the ears? I don't remember that being like a vampiric trait, besides like Nosferatu.
I'm not a big fan of it. You know, for Logan, it can be very sexual for him.
But sometimes Logan's appetite is too much for Daly to take.
I'm sorry, I can't handle this.
It's almost like she's jealous, and it's almost like this dude's a douchebag. Yeah, she doesn't seem like she really likes any of it, just wants to please him. Sad. Exactly. What happened? But that's what I was thinking. Like, she clearly doesn't like it. She says she doesn't like the taste of blood. Duh.
Husband and wife, Logan and Daly are the king and queen of the vampire court of Austin. They wear fangs. She's had her ears surgically.
They wear fangs. Again, if you're born a vampire, then why are you having to put on fake fangs and contact lenses to make your eyes look like they're a different color? Why are you having to do any of that if you're supposedly born a vampire?
Altered. And as if that weren't enough, they have a blood donor for their regular need to feed.
Daly and I usually feed from Alona about once or twice a month.
It's a good idea to know your donor. We have them tested every 6 months for blood-borne illnesses.
Is it required for her titties to be halfway out? Or is that just for funsies? And is it also required for her to be a smoking hot babe in a robe with tiggle bitties? Or is that just for funsies too? Or is that just for Logan? Or are both of them into that?
It's not a sexual aspect for me. I'm not turned on while I'm drinking blood. It's just something that, you know, hey, it's been a month. I probably need to feed. I've been feeling a little down.
Oh, so it's not sexual. So the robe and the titties halfway out of the robe, that's all for Logan then. That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense.
It may not be very pleasurable for Daly, but for Logan, the relationship with their donor has turned into something a lot more involved.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
He's always been very, drawn to the aspect of intimacy and that primal urge.
There is a sense of, a very sexual nature to it, because it is someone taking you in.
That's why my titties are sticking out.
Another factor that separates Logan and Daly from your typical couple, aside from the fangs, blood-sucking, and scary goat eyes, that is.
Daly and I have always been polyamorous. We've always had an open relationship.
I don't know if you guys know this. Those contact lenses, they're so uncomfortable because they're bigger than normal contact lenses to cover your entire iris and more, right? Unless if they just stop at the circumference of the iris, right? But it doesn't look like that. It looks like they go a little bit wider to make his iris look even bigger. So if that's the case, that has to be hella uncomfortable.
Got together. I was actually dating someone else at the time when I started dating her.
He was very upfront with me when we first met. He said, hey, this is what I've always been. This is what I do. I'm open, I'm poly, and that's just who I am. I can't change that. And I said, okay, well.
I also model my look after Edward Cullen, Lestat, or Lestat, whatever his name is. Yeah, I model my look after Nosferatu, Twilight, Queen of the Damned. But I was also born this way, and I had my awakening whenever I was 15, which, however old these guys are, it seems like they would be about 15 whenever Twilight came out. So that
I've
matches.
never really tried it, but I like you a lot, so let's give it a go. I've never really tried.
She just said she's never really tried being in a polyamorous relationship, but she liked him a lot, so she went with it. Now, I'm not one to judge. I'm not one to judge somebody, but unless if they're like a douchebag, you know? So, that being said, I do not like Logan one bit. He seems manipulative, fake, which, duh, of course he's fake. He seems to just not a not good person, which is kind of what I expected. It seems like he is a polyamorous vampire. She's just kind of going along with it. You cannot look at that man and tell me he did not just model his look after movie vampires. That is the exact same haircut. Just a little bit shorter, but it is the exact same style of haircut as Lestat from Queen of the Damned. Okay?
Everyone else, but it's breakfast for us.
Are you filming me right now?
Yeah.
What?
I thought that vampires couldn't show up in pictures. I don't know the lore behind vampires. Can vampires show up in film? I know this isn't film. I'm going to just read this, even though you guys have had time to read this. Vampires cannot be photographed, cannot be seen on CCTV, and cannot use phones because their voice is not transmitted. Some work around this by using computer-generated voices, Stephen Hawking style. So, overall, no, they should not be able to be seen. Which, another thing, I did not know that vampires, supposedly, can't have their voices transmitted. So clearly they're using some super advanced technology to where their voices are like being portrayed Stephen Hawking style. You feel me? Obviously.
I look like refried hell.
So do yeah.
Where are his teeth? Or his contacts? Do they not wear those whenever they're in public because they're embarrassed?
Why?
Why?
I look like
refried hell.
refried hell.
So do that's going on a shirt. That's delicious.
Oh, that's cringe. Wow.
Scary round.
Dun, dun, dun. I was trying to keep my sandwich together.
This is cringe,
So I
dude.
stuck this.
I mean, it was already cringe because they're fake vampires, but this is a bad video by normal standards. That's just cringe, dude. First of all, who orders a pizza like that? That's supposed to be a margarita pizza, it looks like. But there's no cheese. Unless if those small patches, it's like a reverse pizza?
So I stuck this.
I've never disliked a video on YouTube that I know of, right? As far back as I can remember, I do not remember disliking a video on YouTube. I'm making a very strong exception right now. I'm disliking this video.
I feel like this is probably a flight hazard.
Well, remove it.
But it keeps the sandwich together.
Take the stick.
Did they not? I mean, I'm not the most thorough person on the planet, but unfortunately, unfortunately, Ilona flew spiritually. Oh, she flew spiritually. That makes sense because they're vampires and stuff.
This safety video is so extra. Logan's paying attention.
So these guys were clearly... I don't know if I've mentioned this before. At least not in a recording. So, in high school, building here, A building, D, E, C. I don't know what the other one is. B. Okay, yeah. A, B, C, D, E. Okay? That's how it was. Or something like that. And in the middle of all these buildings, there was a courtyard area, right? And there was like sidewalks connecting everything. And there was 2 trees in the grass right here, okay? With a sidewalk going straight like this, okay? And the trees were big trees, but one tree was bigger than the other tree. So the one on the right was a lot bigger than the one on the left. Or other way around. I don't remember. But anyways, around these trees were these brick walls that came up about 2.5 foot high. And every day, almost all the time, there was always people hanging around the trees. But it was always one of the trees, okay? So around the right tree, there was always a group of people hanging around this tree, okay? And they all looked exactly alike because they were, we called them tree people, but they were like in the anime club and into furries and probably vampires, and we called them tree people. And they've been called tree people for as long, like probably since 2004, okay? And it's just been going on year after year. Anyways, these guys would definitely have been tree people. And I know that because of the jokes that she's saying. They would always try to be funny and tell jokes, and it would never hit.
This safety video is so extra. Logan's paying it.
This video is so extra. You see what I mean? You see what I mean?
You look sexy riding the train.
The dude in the background is trying so hard. The guy in the reflection, he's trying so hard not to look.
Hold on, please.
Wait a minute! No sunglasses, no hats, no nothing. Direct sunlight. That's pretty bright outside. It's the middle of the freaking day.
Snacks. Snacks.
I can't remember if the snacks are free or not.
They're probably
not. I think they are.
Are
no,
they?
Because we have a premium suite.
You're gonna wind up getting drunk and eating them anyway, no matter what.
We're gonna be like snacks.
Yeah.
The beautiful view of the snow-covered parking lot. Yes. The room comes with free snacks.
If you didn't know, the room comes with snacks because they got the premium suite.
Snacks.
Snacks. Snacks.
Free snacks.
Free snacks, man.
What is that?
It's free snacks.
Portable charger.
Oh, portable charger.
Everything is free.
Oh,
Not yet. Snacks.
snacks.
You look very dashing. You got your gloves on? Yes. I didn't bring any gloves. I suck.
You did.
Y'all both suck.
It's amazing
I don't know.
how I can go from looking like a fat piece of shit to looking just like this. Makeup's a hell of a drug.
Your hot booty. Did you remember that?
No, I forgot that in my other pants.
I left it in my other pants.
Cringe.
Yes.
Obligatory elevator shot. You're not funny. Why didn't they get a flight in the middle of the night? Bars. But what, seriously, they said that they sleep during the day, so why didn't they try to book a plane ticket for like 10 p.m.? Okay, that's all I'm doing with that video. I can't watch any more of that. That is too much for me.